Yeah.
We are live, you guys.
Hey,
Hey.
hey.
Hello.
Hello from down the hall.
You got to travel a ways.
Anyway, so I'm to introduce myself. I'm Jasmine Truesdale, CEO of Aza Comics. To I don't know which side of me we have Royce. You can introduce yourself as well.
I am Royce Smith, the composer, I guess we would call it. Music producer, working with Ozzy Comics, loving every minute of it.
Yay! And Miss Kimberly T.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Truesdale. I am the author of the kids series for Asa Comics.
And I see your HBCU
Yes, and
NTCU shirt for the
yes, I'm a
HBCU
proud
college.
graduate. Yes, I am a proud graduate of North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you are also an AKA.
Yes, and a doctor. So let's put it all in
Yes,
there.
and my
Ooh,
stepmother. So,
throw it all in.
Retired
so
military. Okay, let's get all my credentials out. Okay.
yes, she's a vet. The whole thing, yeah. So you're like legit. I think on the website you're wearing your actual
Yeah,
like army
Army.
gear, your fatigues and everything. So yes.
That means you can
Yay!
write too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
So pretty much our panel is going to be about the evolution of Black women in comics. I have to tell you, as proud of as I am to know this, all of this, it also is a little depressing because it's not as much as I would like it to be. So part of Oza Comics is hopefully changing that narrative and making it so that there are not only more Black female superheroes, but more prominent ones that actually get marketing time, screen time, full dialogue, full character development. They're not just recurring characters who kind of pop in here and there and support all of the other characters. They're actually given the attention and the development that they deserve. So, just kind of kicking it off. What if anyone can answer this? I swear I'm gonna do something. I don't know what, but if you can name the actual first Black female superhero, go for it.
Ooh, Bumblebee.
No, but
Did you
A
say
for
that earlier?
effort. You're like listening to me when I was like researching this because I didn't even know it. So like, if anybody knows this,
Man,
I
that's.
swear.
I think you got me on it. I mean, I have a couple guesses, but I'm pretty
Yes,
sure
guess. Totally guess.
I don't even want to do it now. Because I'm pretty self conscious about how wrong I'm about to be. But hmm.
Wait a
The
minute, I'm
person
trying to
you're
think.
thinking of is probably really close.
Ooh, somebody says Storm
Someone says
in the
Storm.
chat.
A lot of people say that, but
I was gonna say
actually, it's not. It
of
Oh,
course.
give me
is.
the first letter. Let me see if I can remember what you were saying in the
I mean,
hallway.
you were close with the bumblebee. It's
No,
another flying insect.
Hmm.
Wasp? No, you said it was
No.
supposed to be a female, but then they changed it.
No, no,
Gosh,
no. Why? I swear. Oh my God. No.
this is a story
Okay.
of my life.
Oh
I
my
just get my
gosh.
highlights.
Anyway, so
Yeah, I'm stumped.
Oh,
yes,
Butterfly.
Anika, it is Butterfly.
Butterfly.
It is Butterfly. It was from Hellrider Comics.
Oh,
And she debuted in 1971, which, because history is like kind of my thing, that was also like kind of the beginning of blaxploitation and all of that. So, in general, in the 70s, there was this kind of surge of, well, not really a surge, it was like a few Black female superheroes that kind of really that were created and developed for a lot of these like mainstream comic books. So first was Butterfly. she was actually pretty dope. She was like a cabaret singer or something in Las Vegas, and like we only saw her for 2 like comic book issues, but the first one she was like battling fascists, and the second one she was killing white supremacists. So, you know, all in a
Bring her
day's
back.
work, and then go back to singing her cabaret show. So she was kind of doing her thing, and then after that, the first like mainstream Black female superhero was Storm for Marvel, which everybody knows. And then DC created Bumblebee. I want to say that was like mid 70s, 75,
Did you say
76,
that was an
something like
emphasis
that.
to me? Okay, go ahead.
It's like 75, 76 was Bumblebee. And then okay, and this is the trivia that you heard that I will now tell you since you were overhearing everything I was saying to myself. Vixen. Vixen was supposed to be DC Comics' first like mainstream Black female superhero. She was supposed to get her own comic book series in 1978, but then the DC implosion happened, where apparently they went through like a few quarters of really, really bad sales, and they had to cancel like almost half their lineup. And unfortunately, Vixen was a part of that. So they were supposed to be delayed. Unfortunately, never happened. I mean, they they revisited it like maybe 40 years later with the web series, which did like 2 seasons that they hardly marketed, and kind of nobody knew where to find it. And
of course.
So again, as I said, I'm very proud of Black female superheroes in comics, but at the same time, it's like very heart-wrenching to know, to witness kind of how little marketing they get, how little attention they get, how even with like Vixen, she was supposed to be this mainstream character, and we never see that. She's always just kind of peppered in and out throughout Justice League. So like, okay, first question, Kim, this is trivia for you, but feel free to use an Oza Comics character. Who is your favorite Black female superhero?
You see how she treats me, y'all? I'm gonna cry. But no, I mean, Jasmine, you really set it up because I mean, I'm a product growing up in the 70s and, you know, watching, Justice League on TV, you didn't see anybody Black. So it's not like you grew up with, Black superheroes. You see Wonder Woman as a female, you saw the Wonder Twins, and I didn't read comics. So yes, I would have to fast forward all the way to the year, you know, 2021 and pick somebody from Oza Comics. So
There you go. Yeah.
Who would you pick?
I will pick. Who am I picking, Jasmine? Since you know me so well.
I don't know. Probably Kala.
Yeah.
See, I think Kala's the obvious choice. I mean, she's kick butt. I mean, she's the leader and everything, but she comes from an awesome mom and everything. But so that's a good choice. So who else? We had this conversation.
You like Nari.
Thank you.
Yes. Let me find
I had this conversation.
I can
with
share
you.
it because she loves Nari.
Okay.
Am I still streaming? Am I still live?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I'm like looking for I have like a whole thing, and I can actually like post it of ours. Because when I created Oza Comics and I was kind of making the lineup for everything, I mean, off the bat, it was just like 5, 6 Black female characters just like already. So it wasn't like I don't know. It wasn't
But
hard.
I mean, I like Nari because Nari could be bad. She could really use her abilities for evil. And so that's like that whole thin line between, are you going to be good or evil? And the fact that she's, despite everything, using it for good. So then,
Mm.
so I root for the underdog and not the obvious one that everybody's like, everybody picks that one, you know,
Yeah, that's
For sure.
her. I'm trying to
just like
figure out how to
Sabrina
share
was
the
my
screen.
favorite Charlie's Angels, you know. Like,
What about you, Royce? Who would be your
So
favorite Black female superhero?
I'm gonna go a little off the beaten path here.
Okay.
So I've always been an anti-hero fan, if you will.
so
Yeah.
villain.
So kind of villain, yeah, kind of villainy, but also getting the job done.
Not understood. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Put it like this: it's a person that is gonna do the job like for the greater good, but it's gonna be done in a really ugly way. In a way that the real superheroes wouldn't do it. So having that being said, Amanda Waller, I think.
Oh yeah.
I
And I
love it.
love that Viola Davis,
Of course.
like
Of
she
course.
captured her so well.
Yeah. Just like a mean, cutthroat, business suit wearing, uh anything you can think of, like a mean corporate America. I'm over the FBI type of person. Like, I mean, yeah. I love the let's get this done, but I'm gonna do it my way, and people are probably gonna die.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not an advocate for the death of it, but it's just I'm a diehard DC fan, and DC fans know that it's dark, and people don't make it all the time. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Amanda Waller. Honorable mention, Storm.
Okay, so speaking of like Storm and Amanda Waller, because pretty much I'd say the trajectory of Black female superheroes throughout comic history has always been never the main character. Like probably with the exception of Storm, like she was given like the most attention that anyone has probably ever seen with a Black female superhero character. She's
Mhm.
considered the most popular, the most well-known of all characters. And but even still, like she never really had like her own thing. She was always like through the X-Men and other things, and just like with all of the other characters, they're always just peppered in, supporting throughout.
For sure.
I would say maybe in the last couple of years, maybe last 5 years, we're actually starting to see the transition from paper to cartoon and live action. Because up until like when was the first time we even saw Amanda Waller in live action?
I believe it, Viola Davis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like Suicide Squad. Like I think that was it.
Mhm.
And then with like Black Lightning, with Thunder and
Or was
Lightning.
was the which one was it? Was it Arrow that had her in there for? I'm not sure
It
which one
was
came
one of
first.
those. They all the Arrowverse. Like they're
Yeah,
all in there
yeah, yeah.
somewhere. Like she was in there somewhere. They had like a story arc where they had her in there. I remember.
And
I just don't
she
remember
was
if it was.
played by the oh man, of course I can't remember her name right now. But she's I believe a British actress, I think, possibly, but maybe not.
Her
But
face is like I'm imagining her
yeah,
face.
she was in Power for a few episodes, and she's been in a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember which came first, but probably Suicide Squad. But yeah, I think that was the first time we'd ever seen Amanda Waller live action, for sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then it's like now with this transitioning and all of like what we're seeing with Black female characters, um, we're starting to see like nowadays, like I said, in the past like 5 years, now more Black female characters and superheroes being brought to prominence. Like first thing I can think about is like my sister and I, our favorite show, Flash, where Iris West is Black. Like one of the first think the first time we saw Iris West was in the original TV show in the 90s, and she was played by a white woman for like one episode, and they got rid of her.
Mhm.
And then in the then we see her again in the TV show, and she's played by a Black actress, which then sets the tone for the film, where she's again being played by a Black actress, to the point that like my sister, I said something, and I said something like, "Oh, the movie, it's gonna have a Black actress," and like my sister was like, "Why wouldn't she be Black? Like she doesn't know Iris West to be anything else other than a Black woman." So it's interesting.
It's good.
Times.
Bless her heart.
It's good, interesting times that is normalized. A mainstream love interest is a Black woman, and it's very normalized for her. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely appreciate that for sure. But what was I gonna say? So, like, you being and your favorite superheroes, like, did you feel with Amanda Waller, with Storm, like, did you feel like their characters were written or portrayed in the way that you would like, or how would you have preferred for them to be, I guess, captured on screen?
Great question. Amanda Waller, yes. I think again, I mean, if it were written, lacking anything, Viola Davis wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, I think she did it perfectly. Even the young lady on Arrowverse, I think she did well as well, even though they killed her, but whatever. But no, she did well. And then with Storm, okay, so that one I'm a little picky.
Like everybody is.
Yeah, I only care a lot about the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. To me, that Storm was Storm. Like,
yeah,
she's African, she's athletic, she's, she has an accent. She's a brown, well, in terms of animation, she's brown, she's not fair skinned. I think that, even though I know it's animation, but I think it was extremely accurate to the original, writing of or development of the character.
And they gave her she had screen time. Like she was a part.
I
feel like the translation from the comics to the cartoon, because I mean we both grew up on that. Like she was in the game when we're playing like on our Segas. Like you're the one, she just swoops in and causes a tornado and wipes out the bad guys. Like that was very much that was it. That was Storm. But then I don't know, like something with the film, it just did not translate. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to speak bad about any studio or whatever, but it was just like, I mean, you have Halle Berry and people can, say how they feel about her. But at the end of the day, you have like this Black actress who's an A-list Black actress, one of the highest paid actresses in Hollywood, who you're using to market and promote the film, but yet her character, who is one of the most prominent, most popular Black female superheroes, only has a few lines of dialogue. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like I didn't.
It was weird to me because I'm like, maybe not back then because I'm pretty sure she was really young, but I think like a Serena and I'm just going. I'm solely talking about the looks.
Okay.
Like maybe a Serena.
Well, one of D in the comments said Angela Bassett, and I know Jasmine, you.
Woo! Yes. But to me, that's what like she should look like. She should look like a Black woman. I'm not saying Halle Berry doesn't look Black. I'm not saying that, but she's African.
Seeing her in Black Panther as T'Challa's mom gave me a little bit of like, I was like, okay.
So I was like, they're listening to us finally. Someone, but I mean that entire cast was.
It was crazy because she was like the most prominent of but like I said, like Halle Berry was the most prominently known person of, I would say her and maybe one other. But when it was like first coming out, first film, she was the one that they were using to heavily market and promote the film. She was the most well known. Like that was X-Men was the film that kicked off a lot of people's careers, like Hugh Jackman. Like, people didn't really know who he was. Famke Janssen, like, nobody knew who she was either. But yet, again, they give the Black female character the least dialogue and the least screen time, the least. It just that hurt my soul. But anyway, moving on to happier things.
Yeah, for sure.
But moving on to happier things, it's kind of like one of the reasons why why I wanted to create Oza Comics the way that I did so badly, because it was just kind of like me, through writing and developing the characters, my way of like venting my lifelong frustration to how Black women are portrayed in not only like comic books, but just in film, television, just everything. We're used to market and promote, but we're not given any like substantial roles, like to the fact that Halle Berry being the first and only woman of color to win a Best Actress Oscar after 20 years is ridiculous. So that's because I don't know why. Like, you have to ask the powers that be, like, why are these roles, these Oscar roles, not being given to Black actresses who we know can do it? So yeah. But okay. Happier things. I'm gonna get into my mood, and I'm gonna be broody, and I don't want to do that. So like, happier things. Okay, so Kim, this question doesn't really apply to you because you were gonna do it anyway, since you're my stepmommy. So Royce, what drew you to want to work with comics? Because like, you're like my best friend's husband, and I remember you reached out to me wanting to do the music for Oza Comics. Like, why?
So there was conversation, of course, when you were first getting ready to kick things off, or in the very beginning stages. And I think at that point I was kind of like, I don't like, I'm always listening for opportunity, because I love to make music. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, I want to say something, but it might be too soon. But of course, more conversations started happening, and you're like, all right, well, it's out. I'm done with the first book, and I'm rolling. And I'm like, all right, so it's pretty much now or never. Because I'm like, eventually you're going to be moving forward, and you're going to say, all right, I need music, and I'm going to go get it from whoever. And I wanted that whoever to be me. So yeah, I when you told me what the I don't want to say goal, but I guess the overview.
Vision.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Was promoting Black women, women of color, and reaching out to Black and brown children, saying, you don't have to just have Wonder Woman. You don't just have to look up to, I can't even think of any other ones because I've never been a fan of them, but just being honest about it. But I mean, just the usual suspects. You don't have to just have those. Here's a story, here's a comic series, here's whatever's going to turn into in the future, where these people are going to look like you. They're going to discuss topics that you're familiar with. They're going to, embody your existence, and it's going to be cool. So that's kind of what drew me to it. And then I said, well, if I can create or help create the sound for that, that's something I want to be a part of. So
you definitely nailed it. Like, you're my brain, when it comes to like what I want, is all over the place. Mm-hmm. And I'll throw like, I want this genre and this genre with these instruments, and I don't know, just kind of make that happen. And like, you'll totally do it. Like, I'm sitting on 2 tracks right now that I'm not releasing until the next slate of books.
Mhm.
And you know what it is, it's Jeannie and Jace. And I
Right.
was like, these girls are like a blending of cultures. And I said, okay, you got Jeannie. She's like Afro-Brazilian. She also has like Puerto Rican ancestry. I want to kind of mix that, I don't know how, into a sound. And then you got back to me and it had like this reggaeton bass with like these like Brazilian carnival drum. It was awesome. You nailed it. Like first go, I was like, that's it. And
Thank
then Jace, hers is kind of like the Balkan Peninsula. It's like very Eastern Europe, very kind of like Turkish, kind of that whole sound with like this kind of hip hop bass. And you nailed that. Like I'm like still listening to on repeat as I'm like writing scenes for them. So I was like, I definitely listen to the music while I'm writing scenes for the characters because it helps me kind of, the music definitely captures the personality, their
awesome.
Like the tone. Like I really like your work. And what's the thing you're working on right now for Aza?
Right now is going to be the general theme for the entire series. So when the TV show comes on, when something big in the movie happens, hopefully what I'm making now will be what you hear. So yeah, it's just, I mean, as far as the creation and how much you enjoy it, which I definitely appreciate, you kind of have to tip your hat as well, because I come to you for, those suggestions and, okay, what's in your brain? I know you got a lot up there, so dump it all out. Tell me what you think you want to hear. And I've tried to, I think throughout making music, I've always been kind of weird.
Creative.
Creative.
Thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. And I've never really gone down the same path that everyone
boring
has. Yeah. I mean, because I've always wanted to make music that people like, but I've also wanted to always make something different. And
original.
We kind of have that in common. Like when I was creating Aza, I didn't want it to be like everything else. I actually stopped reading comics for like 5 years because I wanted to come to the industry organically with an original idea. So people actually, when they read like the book, they say it's kind of like, someone said it was like Star Wars, Star Trek, Sailor Moon, and like Disney princesses,
but better
together to protect the universe.
But better.
And I was like, what? Oh my God. But I mean, hey,
but that's one of the things people tend to try to stereotype, cast set, females like they have to be either a princess or kick butt. Like you can't, kick butt and then put on a dress later. Or you can't, you can kick butt and still wear makeup, You
can even kick butt in a dress. Like,
yeah. I mean, like FloJo, like, she ran track, she had those long nails, it's like, you see a lot of WNBA players. I mean, I know or NCAA basketball players. I was like, oh my gosh, they got on lashes out there playing basketball. It's like, just break the stereotype. You don't have to just cast somebody and that's, you're doing that, Jasmine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I noticed that it tends to also like resonate more with people the way that I created them, because I kind of
they're real.
They're real. I would think of almost like the stereotypes that are cast upon like certain cultures, or the cultures of where these girls came from, and then almost like created a character out of rebellion, like to do the absolute opposite of what their culture says they're supposed to do. Because the women that I know are the total opposite, or they don't fit that perfectly. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to make the realest person that I possibly can. And even down to like the inspirations for them, like they come from real people. So me, I'm a very visual person. I need to see it in order to kind of be able to let my creative juices go with it. So like with Tama, one of my Black female characters who I absolutely adore, she is like Janet Jackson, Queen Hatshepsut, and like my mom, like mixed into one person. And then you have like Katya, which was very much inspired by you, Kim, and
Except for one part about her that I'm
Kim and
still
like
mad
Carla
about.
Gugino. Like it's like they're inspired by real people. Like right now I'm super inspired by Rona Mitra. I'm in this like Facebook group that focuses on Black superheroes, and I've probably been bombarding their timeline with too much Rona Mitra stuff because that's who I'm watching now, who's been like inspiring a lot of like my fight scenes. I'm like visualizing how the person would look when they're in the middle of the scene, what their physicality would be. And it's like it comes from real people. So even with like when I'm thinking about that, when I'm creating these Black female characters, I'm thinking about how real can I make them from their hairstyles. Like the character has locks. Kala has locks. Tama, her styles are very eccentric. Romero, who's the illustrator who unfortunately couldn't be here, he had an emergency. He has a very good understanding of Black hair. So when he was making the characters and illustrating them, Tama, her hair is like it's like a very long, if you can imagine, probably the biggest fro in the history of life that she has. It's very long and it has like cowrie shells and red ribbon and all of these like very like eclectic styles, or even not even eclectic. It's very interesting, very creative styles, which Black women are, we're known for our creative style. Everybody's copying our creative hairstyles, even if they don't have the hair for it. So it's like it's fun to kind of play along with that, or play with it when I'm like making the characters. So even with one of the characters, Jeannie, she is my Afro-Brazilian character. She actually is a hairstylist. Like that's her thing. She went to cosmetology school. So she's the one that's retwisting Kala's braids or Kala's locks. And I have a scene where they're like discussing some super important mission that they're getting ready to go into. It's like a pretty major plot. And she's sitting down in between Jeannie's legs as she's like retwisting her hair. So, I try to bring that realness to the characters when I'm creating them. So you see yourself, and we can, I guess, normalize Black women in these incredible, fantastical things. I mean, Black girl magic. That's what they call us all the time. Well, let us showcase that. What does that look like? So I guess I try to do that. So quick question for you, Kim. What made you take on the role of like writing the kid series? Because you don't have a background in sci-fi, that's not your thing. So it was like, what made you want to take that on?
I think, you kind of started with, when doing Ozza and doing it as a novel to give that backstory of them. But a lot of that, it's important. So I really want to know, like, okay, what were they like as kids? So they didn't just arrive on the scene as 20, 30-year olds. They were kids when they knew they was going to basically, be thrust into this world as keepers. So it's like, okay, what was that like in that time? And, that gives me the creativity to think about, you know, that whole balance of trying to be a normal kid, but also knowing that you're not normal and you're going to, you know, be something in the world and not just somebody telling you you're going to be something, you're going to be something. So it's like
Yeah.
that flexibility you know, and also, to also bring in that younger generation so they can get hooked on something and, kids start telling their parents or their older siblings and, you know,
because
We conquered the whole world.
You were definitely a part of the I call it my mom fans. And I had a lot of fans, including you, who were moms, and they were like, my kids would love something like this, but they're like, really little. And the book is not for little kids. So I was like, oh well. I could do that, but I was like, I don't know if I could write. I totally didn't feel comfortable writing a kid's book. I was like, I can't, I struggle just even with the Keeper series to kind of dial it back a little bit to make it appropriate for, teens. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that for kids.
You're so
like,
right,
I can do it. You're like, I can do that. I was like, okay, sure. Send it over. Let's see what we got. Meanwhile,
so look, let me put this in for Lexi. So I will do it so she won't fire me.
Yeah, it's like my sister's like threatening to fire. She can't, but she's trying to get me to fire you. And it's hilarious. But I'm like, I was like, look, I'm still developing the Oz universe. As anyone knows who follows sci-fi, it is very detailed and people will get at you about those details. So, it's not just me writing 6 books, it's me laying the foundation of an entire universe that I'm trying to build. So making sure all of my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed, the details make sense, things can flow the way they're supposed to. It took time. But I'm very happy with where it's at. And the releases are going to be coming out later this year. It's going to be the main series, the kids series, which you will be finishing, and our LGBT series as well. So, which will include Genie. So yeah, it's one of these things that I'm definitely trying to grow, develop, and with each of these things, there is a Black female character that is at the center of that storytelling. So I can't imagine how anybody would develop this for a television or a film without, they can't pull a Storm. It would be impossible to tell the story without that Black female character at the center. You couldn't tell it. Just even in the first book, it is centered around this Black woman who is pregnant, trying to get to Earth, and all of the stuff that she goes through to do that so that her daughter can be born and basically go on to fulfill her destiny. So it's you can't tell a story without a Black woman at the center. And that was kind of done on purpose. Not even kind of, I did that on purpose.
That's a soundbite right there. Hey, remember that, somebody. You can't tell a story without a Black woman being at the center. Come on now.
There you go. Soundbite. Maybe we can get iMarquise to remix that.
Did Sabrina yell yes in the background to your voice?
I told everybody to be quiet in the house. So.
I'm surprised she's not whispering commentary or sending me text messages Jasmine, say it.
I told her I gotta be serious. So
yeah.
But nah, man. I mean, everything about it. That's why I said before, when you were describing it to me way back when we first started talking about it, just how it will relate to people is major. The fact, like you said, even though it hasn't come out yet, but when you said there's a scene where, Kyle's getting their locks twisted, that's how relatable is that for how many people? It's pretty relatable, I would say. The fact that she's, and this is probably more for the older crowd, but the fact that there's a pregnancy in the first book, I mean, I'm not saying that's it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying in terms of it's part of life, it's real, like you said. Yeah. So
she's almost essentially escaping an abusive relationship, pregnant. If you kind of loosely.
It's real.
Their heart is it's like finding out, I'm gonna have a baby, and my baby daddy is trying to kill me and my kid, so I need to get away. It's that's basically. And while she does it, she saves a bunch of other people. at the
Yeah,
same time.
and I'm like, that's a real person going through a very real situation for
Mhm.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they it's just one of those things where that's what drew me personally to wanting to be a part of this was like it's real. It feels relatable. So
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's what draws people when they, feel they have taken the opportunity to read the first book. If you haven't, you should. You'll see that. I mean, and if you don't like comics, you still should because you it's relatable. I mean, you get to know the characters, and that character development is not just some one-dimensional or maybe one and a half dimensional person, but you're getting a full, fleshed out characters, plural, and it's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really took my time with the development of the characters. Like I have full on backstories for every character that I make because you never know. I never know when I'm going to need it or when I'm going to pull on it in a plot. But it's just it mattered to me to make the character as three-dimensional, as real as possible. And when I was like polling women, asking them what kind of characters they wanted to see, that was one of the things. Like they wanted to see more kind of like that three-dimensionality. Like sometimes with women, if she's really pretty, she doesn't have any depth, or they'll like make the character like the most dope character and then kill her off and like
Mhm.
Yeah.
halfway through the movie. And it's just like, are you serious? Like it's depressing. So like I can almost say that like making Ozza and the writing for Ozza is very like cathartic for me because it allows me to, I think I said it, like kind of vent my frustrations on how female characters are developed, particularly women of color.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think the other good thing, I mean, I know we're focusing in on the black female, but there's other women of color that's in Ozza, you know, and it's a whole community. And that's the other thing, you could ask somebody, what's your favorite female superhero? And most people gonna say Wonder Woman because they don't have that many choices. But now you have this one, where boys, they'd be like, oh, they could start naming through DC, then through Marvel and all this stuff. And now, it's okay. So now with Ozza, even with just the main five, you have, options for little girls, and, different ones and big girls and guys too, can pick and choose, and you don't have to just settle for just one. You can like different aspects of different ones.
yeah,
Ixchel's
and
my
that was something.
yeah.
Ixchel's your
Ix-
favorite.
Ixchel's my favorite. I mean, Ixchel's a scientist. I'm a scientist. I mean, I wish I had her ability to just be able to put my hand on a book and read everything real quick. But some other superpowers. But I mean, there's really a part of their characteristics of each one that I really like and stuff. So,
Yeah,
but it's,
Royce, who's your favorite Ozza character?
I would say so far, just I mean, probably college, just because of the fact that like I guess I kind of have like this preconceived notion of her just being uh uh the leader, obviously the badass, the not saying all the rest of them aren't, but just in terms of just overall, like I'll tell you this, when we first started talking about this, even before I had seen Kala, like it was almost kind of like that's what I pictured.
Hmm.
I pictured maybe not the great detail of how Romero drew her, but just in terms of she's going to
mhm.
be a dark skinned woman. She's going to be athletic. She's going to look amazing. I don't know why I guessed it. Probably just because of how you are, Jasmine. But I was like, she's going to have locks. Um, and I don't know. I just imagined seeing her before I saw her, and she was the first one that we did the theme for, and I was it the way you described her and the way you talked about where she's from, which was not Earth's Africa, but like where she is, their universe.
It's like a it's like a it's like an origin Arjana. It's like an origin of
Right. I think the way you described it to me was for my simple mind was you were like it's going to be like Earth's Africa, sort of, kind of.
yeah, closest
So,
thing to that.
yeah. So I just kind of like connected to that character at that point because I knew kind of where I was going to go for the music with it.
Mhm.
Based on all of the detail you had given me before I had even seen illustration of her. So yeah, and I think eventually you did get me like one picture or maybe a couple of pictures of her just to kind of draw, whatever inspiration I can. But
Because Romero nailed her. Like that's what made me scoop him up, because that was the struggle, was trying to find an illustrator who could illustrate Black women. Like all the people who sent me stuff, like they were sending me basically a white woman with brown skin. And I'm like, that's not the same. Or they had no concept of how to draw locks. Like it looked weird. And I was just kind of like, I was like, very nice. So at one point I was like, I think I remember saying this to you, Kim. I was like, okay, I mean, this might have to be done without illustration. Like I may just have to just do a very standard maybe sci-fi fantasy novel. And that's just what it's gonna be. And then
but she's you though, Jasmine.
Huh?
She's you though. Like I mean, essentially, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's like my projecting.
If you put on, I mean, I'm not even saying like you were projecting it, but just in terms of like if you put on
she go cosplay.
Yeah.
I should cosplay as Kala one year.
If you leather
a little bit.
if you threw on the leather garments and all that stuff, and I mean, I don't know, man. I think we got Kala on our hands already. So
yeah,
Romero just finished her super suit, and it's amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see it with this next book. Their suits are awesome. But Kala's, I love it.
Yeah, and that's just like Lexi, my daughter. Her favorite is Adana. I mean,
ponytail.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but it's just, things like that. I mean, she likes Kala, but Adana with that long ponytail and just to be able to whip that around and stuff like that. And I mean, but Adana goes against, she really breaks the mold of, she's a mechanic. I mean, it's like,
how many female mechanics do you see really at all? Is like, if I can, through any of these characters, be able to, I don't know, inspire a girl to do something that she probably wanted to do or had an interest in, but didn't think that it was for her, or didn't think she would be able to be successful in it. Like that is, that I feel like I did my job. I never forget, I was somewhere and like this woman hopped out of a truck. She was helping somebody with a flat tire. She hopped out of a truck, and I was in a car with somebody. I won't say who. And she said, what is that woman going to do for her? And I said, she's probably going to change her tire because she looks like the mechanic. And lo and behold, that's exactly what she was. And it was just like that preconception of just a woman as a mechanic. Like, what? Like, I want to change in any situation of like just a woman not being capable or not being able. Like, I just want to do as much as I can to change that, if in whatever way possible.
Yeah. And my most likely that I would want to hang out with would be Adana. I mean, it would be Amaya.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably would need to make sure someone has bail money.
Yeah.
I was gonna say she's the hothead.
Yeah. It's like she goes from 0 to 100. There is no in between at all. Like at all.
Yeah, she's the hothead.
Hothead.
I mean, but every group of girls has one person that's like that. But underneath is probably a teddy bear. It's like the sweetest, most caring person to those that she's close to. Like, do not mess with my crew, but be ready to cut everybody else.
Yeah,
Very true.
for
You
sure.
know,
She
Sure.
stays, with her brass knuckles. Like she is ready. It's on site at all times. Like that is very much, yeah, that's a for sure.
And that's even that. And if you don't mind me saying, that's even another layer of like a genuine, a real life situation. Is you got a group of girls, group of friends, if you will, and they all have their own personalities. And like you said, every group has that one.
You can't take her anywhere.
Yeah, you got that one. You got the funny one. You got the real serious one. The one who's always on task or doing something. And just the development of their different personalities is amazing to me.
Mhm.
Quick question. So we have about maybe 10 minutes left.
Mhm.
What would you, it's like within the Ozzy universe, what would you like to see more of? And what, within your role specifically, what is something that you would like to do with the characters, or like just, I guess, just either within your role or just career-wise, professionally, with what you do that you would like to be able to do with Ozzy Comics?
Is that for me?
Both of you.
Okay. Miss Kim, you want to go first? You want me to?
You already talking, Royce. Go ahead.
Okay, so Jasmine, I spoke to you about this a while ago. I want to be a villain. I
Yes.
want to be a villain. I'm not sure.
That's a lot of people request that,
Yeah,
A lot of people do.
I mean, I feel like I can't be a hero, so I'll be a villain. But I don't want to die though. Like just like
like a recurring villain.
Yeah,
like you want to be one of the ones that you're kind of. Sometimes you're good. You're good enough to not be killed,
right?
But you're bad enough to still be. They have to give you a side eye.
Yeah, like lock me up and I'm gonna escape.
Like Catwoman.
Yeah, there you go. But Catman.
Yeah, like I got it. So it's like you're on your own side, but if your side happens to align with someone else's side, y'all can work together.
For sure.
Negotiable.
So, but in terms of what I do already, I would just love to keep doing what I am doing. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not open to, if there's another avenue that opens up, absolutely, I'm open for whatever. But I just my passion in life, I love music. So, I would love to continue making music in whatever capacity I can with the different, whether it's what we've already done, other media outlets, shows, movies, whatever happens, video games, throwing that out there too. That's what I would love to keep doing. Of course, anything creative, I can lend a hand to, but yeah, I mean, music is definitely where I would want to be for sure.
Yeah. Anika made a good point. She basically said that villains don't play by the rules and appear to give no boundaries. They don't have boundaries. So it's the opposite for most people in real life, because I know I love my villains, especially my Spanish soap. So I mean, I put so much energy into the development of my villains. Like, yeah, for sure.
I mean, but if you have a weak villain, I mean,
can't have a strong hero. So
yeah. It's like, I could have did that.
What about you, Cam? Is there something you want to really push with the kids' book?
Push getting them out.
Yes. You have a 10-year-old that's like gunning for your job.
Royce, you really need to hear her in the background sometimes. It's hilarious. And the notes that she leaves around the house. I think just really helping you with more, continue with the product development and different things, because what other kids like when they start getting into the dolls, into jewelry and everything else. So you know, other ways to push the whole Ozza so everybody knows about it
Yeah.
and wants it.
It was something I promised I'd speak on it because it was a topic that was brought up to me not too long ago, and it was speaking on like Black trauma and how a lot of content, even content coming from like Black creators, tend to really kind of hone in on Black trauma, and they wanted me to speak on it and how I kind of navigate Black trauma in space. And I
Mm-hmm.
can honestly say that Black trauma is traumatizing. So if you can imagine, I guess reading a book or watching a TV show where you're seeing something that you've experienced yourself or that you have a close relationship to in terms of that experience, it may not necessarily be fun for you. Like for me, I can't watch slave movies. I can't watch, it was like a new series that came out, I think was by, I can't remember, it's on like Prime. It's like really popular. I think it's like They, Them, something like that.
Them.
I can't watch that. I can't watch stuff like that. Even if it has like the most triumphant ending, like the trauma of what those characters have to go, I can't watch that. It is traumatizing to me. So when I'm writing things along the lines of Black trauma in space, I dive into it, but I don't dive too deep for my own mental health. Because when I was creating the characters and creating the Afrofuturism with everything that was going on, I wanted Ozza to kind of be an escapism for Black readers. I wanted them to be able to kind of read something where they can kind of step a little bit outside of what they're going through and what they're constantly seeing on the news of, another person getting shot, another person being killed, another person being murdered by a cop. Like I want them to be able to go to a place or read something where they can take a break.
I mean, but I think it's also the ability to highlight all the positives in the world and
Yeah.
all the accomplishments that have been made. I mean, like you do with your history story series, but or even in the books, like when you think about Ixchel and her ability, so you're highlighting academic things, not just you know sports and athleticism, but I
Science
think,
and
yeah,
all
I
of
mean,
that.
so it's like, oh my gosh, she's smart. That's not a bad thing, you
Yeah.
know, and it's not a rare thing either, you know. So
Got the
I
thing
liked,
telling me we got 2 minutes.
yeah, and I mean, I like to read, but I don't want to read something that's going to make me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
I mean,
kind of
that takes me longer to read, like
yeah.
I I come to enjoy, and I want to make sure, people are happy at the end and have positive influences and
I want to give
positive
you
role
fuel
models. Yeah.
to continue on the good fight, the bigger
Yes.
fight. So just kind of wrapping it up. I just got the note that we are closing out. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in.
You have
Go
another whole
into
minute, girl. We got a minute and a half. You only had to do your closing. That's only 30 seconds. You can get another question in.
anyway. Anyway, just let everybody know thank you for tuning in. You can go to ozzacomics.shop to buy any of the Ozza merchandise as well as the books. We have the kids books in English and Spanish. We also have the main teen series, The Keeper's Origins, and check that out. And also go stream us on Spotify and all the major streaming services to check out all of the amazing music that Royce has made for Ozza Comics, highlighting the characters and their personalities. And hey, if you feel like you want
And
to
we
make
got another minute we can talk now.
or come up with a dance or do whatever you want to do, like I love to see it, and I'm always here for it. Also, I just got active on TikTok. Guess you could check me out over there. Ozza Comics on all of the social media. Yeah, I'm
Don't
still getting
sound
used
so
to it.
excited about TikTok. Tell
Because
Lexi
Alex wanted me to do it, so I did it. It's done.
she's Lexi is the director of youth marketing.
Yes. Just like Jasmine, you need to do TikTok. Fine, I guess.
You'll make sense.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Royce and Kim. And Kim, I will see you down the hall.
Oh, yeah, so far to come.
Yes.
As long